Hey, baby. Good. Where did the rest of those go? Sure, sure. Good. Oh, thank you. Are you Rebecca? Oh, this is Rebecca's nephews. Why not? I didn't get anything from Jen. I didn't have a new one or not. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna, if you guys call to order though, I just wanna do a mic check for computer people, sorry, Zoom. Our online community, thank you, words were leaving me. Can other people talk quickly? Can anybody hear me on Zoom?
Can you hear us on Zoom?
Hello?
Yes.
Okay.
Can hear me
Yeah.
just fine. Thank you.
Yes.
Beautiful, here come the responses, all right, good to go, guys, thank you.
In that case, I'm gonna go ahead and, call the meeting to order.
I just inject the Zoom. I don't think it's working for folks. I think it's muted.
I think
It's not, we just
Oh, you
clarified.
Oh, good. Thank you. Yeah. I'll sit there with that. I'll stay while I'm here.
Thank y'all for showing up, and then we're gonna go and do a roll call real quick. So, one of the other one on here.
Becca.
Elise.
Sylvia, Ms. Delgado.
Charlotte Maguano. Cedar Coons.
Jennifer Rocco.
And so
Mrs. Tyler and Hillary?
Hillary.
Okay. Kyle, sir?
No, Ohio and Hillary.
Ed Brown.
Oh,
how many are present on Zoom?
we got 11 on each one. I'm just doing roll call on for board members, sorry about that.
Okay, so we've got a form to. And then.
So we want to area for Google and the agenda as it stands. Before we approve the agenda, I haven't finished the agenda before item number 2. Just call it your your acknowledgement.
Treasurer acknowledgement of global communities.
Normal community.
And
Maybe you're really speak up.
yeah, sorry.
Okay. Yeah. I can do that.
I think we change to the agenda, just to add a piece in before we approve the minutes, before we go on. Regarding the development of the community and just so we can, that's it.
Yeah.
So I move that we approve the agenda with that amendment.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. I have one question before.
Oh,
Does it have to go on in between? Is it a voting item?
No.
No? Okay, because, well, no, I know, I'm just saying, because it goes for voting items, and I think, don't you have to put the voting items together? Yeah. I'm
So there's
thought-
amendments that I think that happen, one would be, we need to add a section that is approval of the agenda.
Oh, I was just saying, I think it needs to act item 2. That's the only, yeah, yeah.
all right.
Oh, yeah, no,
Then your second,
oh, there.
Oh.
Then I should just say, I'm sorry.
and then all the yeas,
Yeah,
any nays? Okay, no, it passed. And then can I have an approval of the agenda, please?
Motion.
A motion? We've already done that. All right.
Yeah.
And so the next will go on to the approval of the minutes for the 30th of November, 2023.
I move to approve the minutes for that meeting.
I second.
Okay, yeas? Yay. Any nays? Okay, and that passes. And then, so Luis, if you want to take a moment.
So that being said, I just wanted to acknowledge, at this present moment, as we get to be here in the community, working to create a better community for each other, for our families in the future. There are communities throughout the global context that are currently experiencing genocide and famine. And I just wanted to acknowledge that in front of our community, to place our hearts on the table, to acknowledge that we do have some level of privilege compared to these communities, so that we can do the hard work that this work is.
Move on to community input. So for the community input, we've got on the schedule 20 minutes for that. And yeah, if we can try to keep it to 3 minutes. Do you have a list of people that want to talk yet, or are we just gonna go? Anybody?
If you're on Zoom, raise your hand. Let's start with Zoom.
Okay, start with
Is
Zoom.
that cool?
Yes.
Anyone on Zoom have public comment? Quiet Zoom crowd.
Okay. Anybody in person? Yes.
Yeah, I'd like the library to really get a functional hybrid Zoom system, because I think it is gonna continue. And the fire department has a good one. I don't know if they're happy with it, but as a Zoom attendee, it's much better than what we can do here. So I think we should have a functional system at the library.
I agree 100%. And maybe what we can do is.
I agree.
I have a question.
Let's do public comment.
Oh, I thought it was part of the public.
Oh, no, you weren't.
I'm still.
There's a brief, and it may be available to me online, but if you could state who the officers are of the board, that would be very nice. Thank you.
Do you want to answer that first?
No.
Not. I had a couple of things I wanted to say. First of all, I just wanted to know if the library has revised their vision and mission statement. Since you have a really relatively new and different board, and I don't think that that mission and vision statement had been revised in quite some time. So if you have, I was just curious to see what direction you as the new board were feeling that the library needed to go. And secondly, I just wanted to speak up a little bit on behalf of the thrift store, staying in the location that it's in. I know that that was one of the things that was on the list to be discussed tonight. And I feel that having volunteered there and also volunteered at the library now for several years, I feel that it's really important for us to maintain the thrift store in that location so that we can continue to be a successful program of the library, raising undesignated funds that can be used for anything the library needs them for. I really feel that moving it to a different location would cause that to cause our revenue to decrease. I think that we are a great program of the library, and I'd like to see it continue to stay where it is.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I'm also a volunteer at the thrift store, and I just wanted to speak to what an important part of the community it is, not only just because we're raising funds and selling items to make cash for the library, but it also, as a volunteer, I've noticed over the last year and a half, people come in and hang out, and it's become sort of an informal meeting place for friends to gather and us to just kind of get to know each other in the community. And it's been an interesting kind of period watching that happening more and more. And I think it's an important thing that needs to stay in that place. I don't think the septic is set up for showers. It's in general not set up to even use the toilet, just limited amounts. And I don't think we have a functional oven. The refrigerator's gone. I think we've been broken into 2 or 3 times. So the idea of opening the library to people that aren't involved, I mean, the agenda to people that aren't involved in that is a real risk, in my opinion. I'm all for helping people that need places to cook food and take showers. I'm not at all opposed to that. It just seemed like an unsafe kind of solution for that. There might be other ways to provide that for people in the community, if that's the way the library is going, if that's under the purview of the library. Anyway, so I would really like to see La Segunda stay where it is.
Second, Jane, please.
Christine Wagner.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any more comments from the community? We have lots of extra time.
I can answer Nancy, Kathy's question.
We got one.
We got one here.
This is Marie Coburn, and hi. I just wanted to say that wherever the La Segunda is, I don't have an opinion about where the best place for that is, but I do not want to see us lose a community center. I know at one point I talked to Felicity, and she said that she thinks that if people need something like a shower, they've always been able to accommodate like someone who needed something like that or needed to use a bathroom, but not to take the whole space and put it to be only for that use. It's like, it seems to me like we could have more of a shared use. And at one point there was money raised for community center and the senior center, which I think is a wonderful thing. We have a senior center, but that's what got built as a community center. And then La Segunda took over the community center. And for quite a while, we had no community center. And I think that there's a real value to the community also in continuing to have that. Like I attended the powwow that was there, and that was just such a phenomenal gift to the community that we had a place to sponsor that. And if we hadn't had a community center, I don't think they would have been able to come. So I would like to continue to have a community center. However all the different parts and meeting the different needs come out, I'd like it not to be by sacrificing, saying like, okay, we'll just not have a community center. To me, that's not a good solution. Thanks.
Is anybody else online that has comments?
Let's go through one more time.
All right.
Unmute yourself and speak on Zoom if you like. Eva, looks like your hand up.
Yeah, hi. Okay, I just was getting my audio on. So I'm just here as Embudo Valley Tutoring Association, and we've collaborated extensively with the library in the past in offering the 4-day per week after school program, as well as the library's been extremely generous to us, allowing tutors to meet with students, especially homeschooled students from the community in the library space. And I just wanted to inquire about what the future of the after school program seems to be, since that was a highly valued and very popular service to the community, providing safe space for children to be, and also a learning space, a discovery learning space for them to be in the after school hours, rather than ending up at home and possibly with more screen time before parents were able to finish work. So I'd be very interested to hear how that fits into the vision going into the future, because it wasn't able to be organized this year. So the community is without that service this year, and I'm very hopeful that next year we could reignite that collaboration and have it go forward.
Anybody else would like to speak?
Speaks the more. No, just kidding.
Yeah, we have one.
Yes.
Hi, I just would like to say that whatever decisions are made about La Segunda, the community center, that it's a slow, in-depth process. Not some kind of, nothing that would jar anybody's response, but it really, looked into kind of like an environmental review process. Something to make sure that it follows the library's mission, purpose, and otherwise is, something that the community at large is entitled to.
Yes. Thank you.
So on the agenda, it says board members are unable to respond directly to public comment during the meeting, but are able to use feedback to inform the agenda for upcoming board meetings. What does that mean? To be able to keep the meeting moving along, to make sure that we don't have long meetings. Definitely notes are being taken on your input and Tony meets with the directors, Tony and I meet with the directors. Some of this things that were brought up, we'll talk about with the directors or all of it. But if there's things that can go on to the next agenda to talk about, or that the directors will touch on in the report for next board meeting in reference to what was spoken.
And just to lay out why we're making that change is that we're having meetings that are carrying on for 4 hours, and there's a lot of discussion, and I really love the discussion. But the proper time for just throwing around ideas is call me up for coffee or over here, we can talk about ideas. And I just want to let you guys know that the way that we're doing things right now in this area is trying to have a fertile ground for growth in the future. And that fertile ground is based on ideas and the needs of the community. And so now and in the future, as long as I'm here, what I'd like to see is a safe space for people to come with their needs and creative ideas, because from what I can tell, the library functions and the community center functions as so much more than just a library, and we're not alone in that. When we've been looking into the rural libraries across the state, maybe the rural libraries across the state are functioning in a much higher capacity to provide the needs for their individual communities. And so when needs come up, a couple people over the last couple months came to us and said, hey, I'm having trouble because I don't have money for propane for the next 14 days. And I don't have a place to cook a hot meal. That's a need of the community, and it's not an overwhelming need. It's a need of 2 or 3 people, 2 or 3 households that aren't able to have a hot meal for a week or two, that sort of thing. And of course, our hearts are compassionate because they're not strangers. These are all our family in our community. And so one of the things that can happen is if an idea comes across where we say, hey, there's a few people in the community that are struggling with hot meals. And then that gets snowballed in people's imaginations into something larger than it was ever intended to be and larger than the community needs. There's a fear about homelessness, and there's not a houselessness overwhelming problem in Dixon. It's not like you walk around Espanola and there's houselessness everywhere. We have a few people in our community that are struggling with safe housing, that one person living out of their car, that sort of thing, that really need help. And they're not strangers, as members of the community. So because the library community center function is a greater thing to provide the needs of you all have had needs and you come into the library and fill them, even if that need is community. And so we want to make sure that everybody is included in that to the best of our ability for what we can provide. And so that creative space of being able to throw around ideas is going to be really important in the future. And I want to assure everybody that this is like a giant ship. It takes a lot to move it anywhere. It takes a lot of discussion in the way that we've been setting up. Any policy changes, any ideas, is that it's every single idea has to go through every single committee before it's even brought out into the public for you guys to consider.
No, that is incorrect. Every
Oh.
committee should be a public meeting. So you will have ample opportunities to review the bylaws, to review the personnel changes. That's why that's why all these processes are going through all these committees, is because our committees are open. That's the one time that we get to have an actual conversation with you all. In committee meetings, we want them to be open to our public to be able to join in, to converse. In theory, if you came to a bylaws committee meeting and you read through the bylaws and you helped them kind of develop it, you're gonna see those same set of bylaws again in the policy committee and in the JEDI committee. So hopefully you've seen different iterations of it and you had your input on it several times, right? That's the point of having it go through committees so that community gets a lot of involvement.
So one of the shifts that we're trying to do is streamline these meetings so that people will actually show up and they're condensed and we can get things done. And then put a lot of the discussion, the talking, the planning, and the actual committee meetings that are open to everybody to show up to.
Where are the committee meetings posted?
We have, the only committee who's gotten in touch with us has been the DEI committee, so hopefully you saw that announcement in the town crier. We had our first meeting for the third Friday of every month. That's a consistent thing for us. As soon as bylaws committee, personnel committee, and stuff like that has their schedule, we're pushing it out to the community. You guys will be absolutely, nothing
Oh,
changed.
get the bylaws.
Yeah, yes, please, yes, if you're excited about bylaws.
Yes.
Susan, weirdo, but you know.
What can I tell you? I love the bylaws.
See you now.
I love bylaws.
I don't mistake that there is sort of a more capacity deficit. I think as individuals, we're all very brilliant, but as the board operates as an organism or as a mechanism, these committees have not in the past ever been amplified to create the mechanism of accurate community input, and then outcomes that reflect that accurate community input. It's always been an individual's idea or so-and-so's idea that got amplified, and then maybe it didn't turn out to support the greater community environment. That's why we have children that don't have a shower at home. And that's a issue in our family. We should never have that. If there is no other organization, perhaps we are an organization that addresses that, or at least gets the word out to identify individuals in the community that might be able to stand up to address some issue.
Yeah, absolutely. To provide a forum for that.
Exactly.
I'd like to say something, I think this is a good idea, and it's also very idealistic. Because, people are busy, and I know myself, as a retired person, I'm busy. And so, the attendance at a meeting like this is a commitment that I make and I attend, and then I'm on those bylaws committees and I attend those meetings and I do my homework for those meetings. And if I have to go to every single committee meeting that we have, or if I'm a community member and there's something that I'm interested in and it's making its way down through every single committee, that takes a tremendous amount of commitment to attend those meetings. And I would like us to be thoughtful about that as we go forward so that we don't burden anyone, especially not young families, but also anyone in the community to have to kind of shepherd something through every committee or speak at every committee about something they're concerned about, like not having the community center or moving Las Segunda or whatever it is. So I don't know how we'll do that, but I just want us to be sensitive to that.
I just want to say, in my experience in communities, it's a place where the community actually can get involved. They can sit on a seat in that committee. We can tap into the expertise of our greater community. And I hear, Cedar's concern, but I will say that's what governance is. That's what it takes. A process-based way of doing things is how we arrive at truly community-informed outcomes. And I think that's what, through this process, it's going to produce. It is going to take a while, and progress might flow a little bit slower, but it at least will have gone through a informed process to where there's nothing left out in hindsight, or our lack of diversity within the idea group doesn't result in biases not being seen and seen. So that's I think good for me. They're highly important, certainly tapping into your all's expertise, knowledge, and experience to support our job. And I think it does, on the contrary, would result in our jobs actually becoming easier once we put these communities with individuals who want to step up from the community to say, I want to help.
And like any change, it's gonna take some work to get it flowing properly, but we're committed to it. And that brings us to the 20 minutes that we had for the input. I hope you guys are all and then we move on to the reports.
Librarian. All right. So library report, statistically, we're doing the same. We got a snapshot of November and December. Everything is trending in similar directions. We're around 350 patron visits, 50 to 40-ish computer usage. And then as we look down, as we trend throughout, it's the continued trend that we've seen. We're on a decline in checked out books, materials coming in, books going in and out. I think we have a couple of graphs and stuff like that we're representing this stuff that we can see a little bit later. But really what we're seeing is that we just don't have materials coming in and out. Where we do see our collection going through the roof is digitally, which is great. I love that. Can you imagine juvenile? And they when we look at our online, juvenile is 0 to 5, 201 books out in juvenile books. That is that is a lot of books that are just flying off our shelves. So I spend a lot of time building our online collection. I do our internal collection as well, but I spend more of my time building this up because that's where it seems though we have a lot more use going. And so I want to make sure that we're supporting these users where we still are lacking in supporting users without connectivity and devices, or it is with devices, right? And so we need to find a way to connect people. How are we going to fill that gap, right? We talked about the Kindles that are in the desk drawer, dusting those guys off and seeing if we can get them going. But what does that really look like when it's one email user, and you don't have Prime and you're out, and so there is still some creative solutioning that we need. And if anyone has creative ideas for how to close a gap for digital, open to it. But that's kind of where we're missing some stuff there. Seed Library will be open the first week in February. We held our first film screening, which was Gather, the film screening this Saturday. It was about Indigenous sovereignty in Indigenous foodways and preserving culture. It's amazing. If you didn't get a chance to see it, it is on one of our many, many library apps. It's on Kiva. You can download it for free and watch it. I highly recommend checking it out. Programming, we are working with KLVK. It looks like Winston Woods is going to be our head guy here to revamp or redo a kids program. And see if we can get the kids program to do something 1 day a week after school. Get them over here. Let's get them to talk Rattler Times. I don't know. They got to decide what it is. I'm too old. But Winston is gonna be the adult in charge, who's gonna guide these young minds, which I think is like the perfect person to be doing this. Yay. I'm so excited, so we're working together. This is part of also like what we felt, Annette and I had felt was like a neglected program. KLTK really felt like the redheaded stepchild. We have a huge ask of the board, but that comes in a later report, and we'll circle to that when we get there, but note that we tried that. Teen programming, nothing at this time. Caterpillar Club, you will note that this Sunday is our first family day. And we are open on a Sunday. We are really trying to work towards getting more families, more youth, just a family day, really. So this is gonna be a little shift. It's gonna be a program that will be geared towards littles, but everyone that comes is gonna do also programming for mids and teens. And then, you know, we expect adults to reach in, find your inner child, pull it out and play. But also on top of that, we've talked about adding a game day at the end of that, so just more fun community get together space that is light and kind of sets us off on a good week. That's librarian report.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's great. Thank you for that. And it sounds like a lot of really fun things going on. What do you think is going on that has caused a reduction in library visits and book checkouts? I mean, I know that there's been COVID, we had COVID.
We had COVID, and I mean, like nothing, I think we've talked about this over and over again. Nothing is ever gonna go back to pre-pandemic level, right? These are the levels that we're at. Whether people are gonna come into this space again or not, I don't know. To check out a book, that doesn't seem to be happening. But to come in here for programs, yes, for other services, yes. But to pull someone in here for a book anymore when they have it on so many other resources. You know, I think COVID is just kind of one of those things. I don't know, you know, I would love to say, hey, we're gonna have a book drive. And you name the book, and we're gonna buy all those books, and that's gonna bring a wave of people in to check all that book out, but.
You know, as an author, I mean, one of the things that I think about is having a shelf of local authors. And having local authors come in and give short readings. But I think basically the sense that we're never gonna return to pre-COVID levels, I think that's I hope we won't make that assumption. Because I think that's an assumption that really limits. We had this wonderful letter from Catherine Dexter about being a child who came into the library and found a book and there's something about an actual book. And there's something about coming into the library and finding it. I know I always took my children and my grandchildren to the library, and I've brought my grandchildren to this library. So I guess I'm not ready to write off actual books in the actual library. Yeah.
Right, books off in the library, like.
I also am seeing the trends because I work in a digital community and it's just what's happening. It's just where we've totally moved away from that. It's maybe my generation or the generation maybe a little younger than me. We're the last ones that really kind of like go to the library and see if there's a book that we just can't get anywhere else. My kids, like the only time they really came here was when they were little kids, which is the trend. And they would check the books out and it was great. But then they get their devices and they realize that is much easier than going somewhere else to get it.
Now, what the kids will do is they'll walk in here and they'll sit down on their device and read or do whatever they want, but they're doing it on their device in here.
So
They're not going to the shelf and saying, here's the real book, oh my gosh, it's a different world for youngers, for sure.
I actually would like to see both. I think for hard copy books, there really needs to be like we're not selling books, but we're selling the idea of reading and books. There needs to be like a whole marketing strategy that really would spark an interest. And actually in both, because I actually see the computers and the tablets really more towards developing computer literacy, which I think is important, but I also feel like the real books, having a real, there's something about having that physical reality and virtual reality. If the internet should ever go out, God save us, you know, whoever would, nobody's gonna save it. But the thing is that I think those are both important, and not only that, I think that the store, the co-op, and the Segunda, and the radio station should be promoting and have people to come into the library, should be promoting the authors, should be promoting the books. There's a kind of like a literacy in literature that I think is extremely important. There's the bilingualism. Not every book is available online. I mean, it's like, I think both would really produce a truly literate person, and bilingual books and other bilingual books. So I think we need to do it all.
Now, I don't want to get too sidetracked because this is a great discussion. And we're gonna continue having it, but we also have to get to the agenda. So I'd like to go on to La Segunda report.
Hi guys. You guys all know me, I'm a nat. So real quick, I'm gonna run down of what numbers of for us here at La Segunda. So we've continued to be able to maintain 12 volunteers. I have lost a few volunteers, only I have one individual that traveled out of state because of the cold weather. You know, she comes back in May, but she does return. And then I do have a few of my volunteers that ended up leaving because they needed to, just medical issues and stuff like that. We generally consistently, our volunteers do come back, which is great. People that volunteered before. So currently, I just gained 2 volunteers. And I have been, you know, asking the community for new volunteers. The 2 volunteers that came back were actually volunteers that volunteered with us before. So we have a great record on keeping our volunteers. So that makes me very happy. So right now we have 1 shift that I need to fill out La Segunda. So if anybody would like to volunteer, I would love to have any one of you come and talk to me. Okay?
Saturday,
Right now,
is it Saturday?
Thursday morning.
Thursday morning.
Thursday morning is what I have available. Okay, so, you know, we continue to do a lot of things in La Segunda. Donations continue to come in, except that the quality of donations continues to go down. So what we are seeing is that we're actually donating and giving away more donations than we're actually putting in the store. So that is starting to become an issue. We were able this year to provide 35 coats for kids in the schools. I did inquire with Dixon, they did not have a need at the moment. So they were sent off to Peñasco. So they were very happy with all those jackets. We were able to coordinate for our local community within Dixon. We had a family with 7 kids in need, and the greater community stepped up and bought brand new jackets with ski pants included, and we were able to provide them to that family. So that made a great difference. So thank you to whoever it was that purchased those jackets. We've continued to assist the culinary arts class by providing bakeware, you know, helping education. You know, we're continuing trying to find places that we could where people could utilize the resources that we have. So if you know anybody that's in need, or you know any of these public entities that we can coordinate programs with or coordinate services with, we would love to be able to help out. That's what we're here for. We also are working on a medical care bank right now. We get supplies into La Segunda, and I'm talking like the medical equipment. So right now, one of my volunteers has actually volunteered to store the stuff in her barn. So right now, we've just started kind of gathering a few pieces here. So we are going to put it out to the community that we are accepting medical equipment, and that we will be storing it, and that we will have a bank
in order for our community to be able to utilize. Okay, so I think that is what needed in Houston. We have been able to continue to help people within our community. We were able to help 5 people with clothing, bedding, and cookware right here within our own community, which is always good. Also, we were able to provide a sewing machine for Northern New Mexico College this last month in order for the Parkinson's program, in order to be able to sew gloves, to be able to use that they're experimenting with to help people with Parkinson's. So that is something we're very proud of. Again, I have to give out a shout out to my volunteers, because without my volunteers, La Segunda would not exist, and we wouldn't be able to provide all the great services that we provide in helping the people in our community and our outer communities. So I have to say that, you know, we here at the library are very, very grateful for our volunteers. Rob Stout is actually going to be working with us here soon and building us a shelf for our La Segunda, and to be able to store our donations effectively, so we don't have tripping hazards for our volunteers. So I just wanted to mention, you know, I'm very glad Rob stepped up and wanting to help us out. And again, we're continuing to have a successful relationship with Renew Consignment. So our issues that we're dealing with at the store again is just the loss of a few volunteers, but again, we picked up some volunteers, so you know, we balance out. We still have 1 shift open. Again, large amounts of donations being donated that are not sellable or usable. Storage always continues to be an issue, but we're working on that. And weather being an issue, of course, because our sales do drop during the winter time. Unfortunately, we didn't have the tourists or the walking customers that we have during the summer. So, you know, but that's a given. I think a lot of businesses do get affected during the winter. So, and that's about it.
The finances.
Cool. I just want to say good job in it. That's really awesome. I think you guys are doing good work. So excited for what's to come. So for our financials, and bear with me, I received this paper just a couple days ago, and it's a lot. I also received a very detailed one, which is also a lot. I'm going to go through just some basic information here to give you an idea of what the financial health of the library is. So currently, as it stands right now, we have $66,516.86 in our checking account. With some of our reserve, our building fund and the endowment, that our total checking and savings at $131,568.52, and that is as of end of calendar year, December 31st, the last reconciled statement. Our current assets, which includes our inventory, buildings, stuff like that, is $151,618.83. Our fixed assets, which is the building, equipment, and so forth, is right at $892,82.54. So our total assets is $1,044,440.17. We have some liabilities as normal. Our total liabilities. Let's see here. Sorry, okay, so our total liabilities are also page. December. Yeah. So our total liabilities, $3,721.54. Payroll liabilities, this looks like just for as an evaluation. Yeah, bear with me again. I still, you know, totally understand this process. Personnel, and our profit and loss to current from July 1st we've spent 83,956.85. Total program services is 157,239.88. Some management stuff, which includes travels and meals, legal fees, liability insurance and whatnot. That is $7,078.60. Fundraising expenses, $791.32. I think what was really cool that I saw it in one of these numbers was our total income since July to as of current grants and contracts was right around 48,891. Fundraising, which is La Segunda, KLDK, the fiestas and donations and whatnot, was right at 75,642.01. Our we had program service income at 2,085.66, but the total income was 141 645.59. If you get online, you can see this information. If any of you want a copy of the financials, we're always happy and willing to give that to you along with an explanation. If you have any questions, I looked deeply into this in the last few days since I got this information, and Tay and I both, think that things are going pretty healthy. Can you agree with that, or what? Did you have a question?
I don't necessarily agree with that, like our annual appeal in the fall was substantially different than past years. A lot of the grants that we just received are, so one of the things that, even though I've been here for many years, one of the things that I've never really been tasked with by the prior directors, because they all really had a good handle on things. And I think that they prepared different reports for the board. I did not often go to the board meetings in the past. And so the restricted funds versus the unrestricted funds. And so one of the things I want to build this spring is a good report for the restricted versus the unrestricted. It's just January and I am like filing 1099s and 22s with very new federal laws that are affecting me greatly. And so I haven't built that restricted. I've looked at it and I've been thinking about it, and I've talked with Rosalia about it on the grant side. I mentioned it to Jose Luis very briefly, but most of what we were spending between September and January or recently was our restricted funds, even though we were spending it on unrestricted items like payroll and different things. And that's okay because it's a cash flow issue. When is the money coming in? When is the money going out? When are the reports due? When do we spend things? And so a lot of the grants that have just came in that are unrestricted were actually just pulling us out of the red. And so it's not like we actually have tons of funds that we are sitting pretty for our everyday expenses. A lot of the funds that we now have are already earmarked for restricted grants, like the after school program and youth funding and things like that. And so hiring somebody to do the youth program, like I heard Eva asking about, or getting those programs going. And that's what most of our restricted funds are for youth programming. And so hopefully by the February meeting, I will be able to give the board and whatever finance people, or Rosalia as grant and Jose Luis as the treasurer. Hopefully we will be able to meet and get a much better idea about where we're at. But a lot of the funds that came in, it looks really great that those funds came in, but they were just bringing us into a much more compliant situation.
Thank you, Tam. As it stands, if you look at where we're currently actively at, we're about negative 25,000, which that doesn't say a whole lot because there's still things that are coming, things that haven't been, hasn't totally processed through. We do have some PayPal that didn't process through in the moment. But I think what that speaks to, again, is just the continued need that our community faces. And I think we need a little more support coming from the donation side and from the greater community. I think that in this shift that we've had, there has been somewhat of reluctance for the community to want to support something new. But as they see all of the work that we're doing to maintain a level of integrity that hasn't necessarily been maybe needed or seen at this level, that we will start to get further community support. And again, just reaching out to you all in your networks and your capacities to help us see this through. We're barely 6 months into the fiscal year, so we do have some time, and we have great grant writer and great programmatic elements. We have great community members that have services that they could bring to the table to create our other programmatic pieces. I feel pretty confident. That's not to say there still isn't a financial worry at the end of the day, especially seeing the deficit that we face. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you.
I just want to say that I want to acknowledge all the hard work that has gone on and the effort that is being made to try to get up to speed for this new board. And it's a big job. And for example, this is something I asked for, and here it is. I asked for hard copies, and I hope everybody will take one home with them and look at it. And, we asked for a good solid agenda, and we got one. We asked for meetings that don't go on until the wee hours of the morning, and that's happening. So I think we really, yes, absolutely, the donations are real down. I was really shocked to see how much they had fallen. And I think that people have been, myself included, a little bit shy about what's going on. But I think that the more that we communicate with each other, and the more that we do try to meet certain kinds of standards and benchmarks, the more we can pull together and get through this.
Okay, thank you.
ED's report.
ED report, okay.
I have a question real quick. Rosalia, you had mentioned that I was gonna be asked to say a few things about QuickBooks and some upcoming changes. And so should I not do that on the whole financial part right now?
Perfect.
Do it now.
Okay, so QuickBooks is doing something where they are really trying to push people to go into online.
Yes.
I find online to be absolutely horrible and a waste of time. It's a huge, the way to avoid going into the online is you have to enroll for their annual subscription service. Double checked, market's good. As a nonprofit, we have in the past gotten our software for the QuickBooks from an organization called TechSoup, which people around the country donate different things, whether it's material or non-tangible, like software, and then you can buy it from TechSoup for like $150 instead of the $650 that the subscription ran last year. I have no idea what this year's price is, and I've looked, I can't find it. And so I think we need to buy the subscription to keep the desktop service, and we have to do that before June. Or during June, by July, something, anyway. Few months down the road, we need to buy the subscription service and so that we can keep the desktop service. And currently we have the 3 users, and we only use 2 users, but it's so the executive directors can get into the QuickBooks on the second computer. If that's not needed, cause it's per user, so if that's not needed, it might be cheaper to just go back down to one user. This is what we had when Felicity was doing both the ED job and the DOF job, and then she hired me. And so director of finance and executive director. So, we only had one user, and then when Felicity hired me, she wanted to be able to be on both, both on computers at the same time. That worked out for Rachel and I as well, but now it's time to reevaluate. So, one user, subscription service, and then the payroll account. The payroll account was about $650 for the year. This is the subscription to be able to do and process payroll. Was $650 a year. I just got the email, $1,400. It has more than doubled. Now, one of the things Felicity did in the past, which I'm not sure what QuickBooks thinks about this, is a licensing thing, is other nonprofits in the community and libraries and nonprofits and stuff. Because you can use up to 50 EIN tax ID numbers on one payroll subscription. So a handful of other organizations, 5, use our same payroll subscription. And then for the annual fee, we just divide it equally and everybody pays a share. And everybody has their own login and it's all separate. And, you know, QuickBooks says you get up to 50 EINs and different users are allowed. So, so I'm reaching out to those organizations to let them know that the price is going up. But, you know, we could reach out to a handful of other nonprofits in the community and divide that are in this position of having to face more than doubled the payroll service and see if, you know, we want to have an agreement with them or whatever. But so, and that's going to affect everybody you know. I mean, I can't tell you how many safety associations or board members of a safety associations or water associations that I'm familiar with, where, you know, it's like, oh yeah, my wife or my husband's doing QuickBooks on the evenings, and it's gonna, all their prices are gonna go up. They might not have employees, they might have employees, I don't know. But everybody's QuickBooks prices, and that's why I say I don't know if the desktop subscription is going up either, because our renewal date isn't until a few months down the road. And when you look online, you get into this buy now online, and it's really hard to figure out what the desktop one costs. So anyway, and I don't think we should go to the QuickBooks Online. It's a waste of energy.
Thank you. Let's move on to the executive directors.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Terry.
Yeah. Okay, ED report, the fire alarm panel, the whole thing of this thing going off, it's been resolved.
Yay. No more seizures.
No more seizures. Everybody should sleep well. You know, these subscriptions.
She does all the fun.
What?
She does the same thing.
That's insane.
Oh, thank you.
Great. So this also makes it compliant with the fire marshal's inspection for his pup to come back and make sure that we're compliant. So he should have been back in 30 days, but he hasn't. And I'm not gonna call him, so there was that. Yeah, we're just gonna let that one go. Electrical continues to be a problem. The exterior outlets, I come in, they are blown. So we've had people come in and look at it. Here's the bit that Brian gave us 2 recommendations. One, replace the actual circuit breaker in the room and see if that works, because that's the cheaper of the 2 solutions. And then the other solution is every outlet would have to be replaced, and they're all GFCI outlets. And that's it. Yeah, I mean, anyone who's done construction does the, oh
How many
God.
GFCI outlets are there?
2, 4, 6, 8, like 10. So, you know, it's not a light expense that we're going to be coming up with. So we're trying, number one,
just the circuit breaker. Everybody, put your energy into that being the thing that works. Thank you. Plumbing, okay, this is gonna be an ongoing issue. What we did find out, we had one person come, Allen Environmental, came, he's the guy who services our pumps. When he serviced our pumps, he was like, PS, your pumps are gonna die, which is great news. 2, your pumps are 4 feet below grade. They need to be lifted 4 feet. Oh, and 3, that room is too small. So when your pumps die and we need to lift these, you're gonna have to extend it out and it's gonna cost you a lot of money. So there was that good news. On top of that, he did a great thing. He threw a camera down our line to be like, hey, why are we still getting blockages? We're getting blockages because unfortunately the slope, if it goes this way to drain to where it's supposed to go, it went a that way. So somewhere here, we're collecting, right? And so we have problems because this is radiant floor. We cannot tear up our radiant floor because that would be disastrous. So it might pigeonhole us into this thing of having to come and have a person come out here every quarter, plug everything up and flush the line. So that is things that we are getting people to give us pricing on. We've had a couple people come out. I've got someone coming out that hopefully can tell us that the line is not running under the building and that it's somehow magically off and that we can tear up, the flowers and stuff like that. We're just gonna let them go. We'll do a replanting ceremony. We'll get them back. But I'm hoping that would be the easier fix to then have a lifelong solution. If not, we're creating a lifelong burden for the building, right? This becomes an ongoing burden and an expense for us. So we'll keep everybody posted. If there are any plumbers in the area that would love a project, come check us out.
Plumbing school.
Plumbing school. KLDK. So I kind of touched on that in the librarian's report, but I'm going to circle back to it.
Excuse me, can I say something about the plumbing?
Sure.
Okay, actually, who said plumbing school?
Plumbing
Okay.
is cool.
Okay, plumbing is school. I thought you said plumbing school. It might be possible that the Espanola College or UNM in Taos, but more Espanola because they do trades. And they actually do have students work on specific projects. That might be perfect to do partnering there. Let's see if
Northern.
they have it Northern.
Thank you, Sylvia.
I've been to some workshops where people will come learn how to build a composting toilet, and that might be a stopgap solution to buy us more time or otherwise ease the issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Composting toilet. Okay. Yeah, I love it. Anyone else? Other ideas?
This bathroom's cleaner. I'm sorry to say. The co-op should work on the cleanliness of their bathroom, according to me.
Okay, so I'm gonna circle over to KLDK. KLDK is in need of updating its current system. Basically, there's a computer that other people program, and all the shows load up and everything automatically plays. And the other program that uses this program to run that program to then put it out on the airwaves is going away. And it's old, it's an old system. We've worked with it for as much as we can. Chuck is still trying to hammer every little bit out of it, but eventually we just need to upgrade that system. He has the tower, which is the computer tower. He just needs how am I going to put this? A mind that knows how to program or wants to learn how to program. So maybe a younger human, but no offense if there's anyone on the older side that would love to learn how to program.
It's a programming issue?
It's a programming issue.
Okay. Like coding?
Coding.
Yes.
Coding. It is coding. You will need someone, someone else will learn how to code.
Done remotely?
I would 1000%, we could give them the power and they could remotely code away. But okay, so on that, it looks like the scribbling means that there's someone knows a young person that might be coding. If anyone else knows a young or old person that codes, we are in need of that. So we would love to get that. Now, here comes our ask for the board members. Since KLDK is such an underutilized service, we would love to also get your voices out to our community. So we would like you to promote not only the library, but La Segunda and the programs that we're doing here. You can come and talk with me and Annette, but really, if you have a smartphone and you can hit a record on there, that's all I need from you. You just need to make a little script that says La Segunda is the best. I love shopping there. You should shop there. I am your board member. We want to get to know you guys. We'd love to create some more connections. This is just, we want your voices. I'd like to monopolize your voice.
Would this become a campaign and how quickly do you want it done?
Oh, yes, it could, and not that quickly, because whoa. I know. We will talk, yes. I will hit you up. But yeah, so board members, this is where we'd like you to go to spend some time, get you some plugs so we can start adding you into the list and you can become more on our ears as well.
So,
and we'll start announcing that in the town crier. Yes, ma'am.
Thought about doing a team program with the radio, like I'm having a radio show? Is that not an interest?
I don't have any teenagers that regularly are in here. So I'm starting with littles because they're here.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping
cause I don't know, that would be super cool.
I would love to
why don't we have a punk show?
Yeah, right. Why don't we have a
Metal
punk show?
I don't know.
Yeah, metal, whatever it is.
For young people.
Oh, no.
Metal Saturday night.
Metal Saturday nights does exist.
Does the library have a newsletter?
We will, let's put it that way. We hadn't had one, but we did reinstate the MailChimp. There will be a regular newsletter going out that is in next month's, but that is not yet.
Okay.
Coming soon.
Great. I just wanted to know if that might be a possibility or if they had one. And that's a way to advertise a lot of things that are going on and stuff. The newsletter with pictures.
Absolutely. Our website is also in desperate need of revamping. We've known that we've needed this. Jeff Spicer is our person. This person was busy up until last weekend with a one-man show. We did reach out to him now. He's ready to tackle the challenge of making our website snazzy and new and more friendly. Yeah, more user friendly. Friendly user it is. It is. I had grants. We've received a lot of grants. We had United Way at 15. It's restricted for youth programming. We're using a lot of that money in the Sunday family days and starting to bring more of those types of programming. We'll use it again with the radio programming and these one-offs that we can as we have the people to do that. Santa Fe Community Foundation, $10,000. That's general operation. Frost 15, general operation. McCune, we applied for 25. That would be 20. That'll be blah, blah, blah. We applied for $25,000 for general operating fund. They announced in March, so keep your fingers crossed. We already went through their McCune Foundation's round 1 and 2, so we might hit a 3 and 4, but we might also be done at that point. So we've already kind of succeeded in that regard. Libraries Transferring Communities, that award announcement has many variations. They announced in April, November, and January. I applied for both a 20,000 and a 10,000, meaning that if we didn't get the 20, we could get the 10. This is for building improvements for neurodivergency and ADA accessibility. We are an older aging community. We need to start thinking about rollability, right? And neurodivergency is something that we haven't really thought of. We all don't process things the same. And so we want to accommodate those that process things a little differently. Okay. Now, the thing that probably had everybody coming in tonight is the community center in the La Segunda building. And so for this one, I just want to take a moment and just imagine the level of vulnerability it takes for someone to come into you and say, hey, I don't have a place to take a shower and I got a job interview tomorrow. And, you know, those are hard, right? They're really hard conversations. And we have resources, especially if they can see that there's a shower right next door. So also people coming in and saying, hey, I know someone who's run out of gas. Do you know anywhere where they can cook something? And being like, you can come in and use the microwave, you know? The level of vulnerability it takes for someone to say that this is not only their need, but a need of somebody else. That's really a lot for someone to come in and say, hey, I don't have. And I want someone to be met with dignity, a sense of belonging, and a sense of welcoming, that that's okay. And we are a community, and that I can't provide the solution to you right now, but I know that we've got a community of really caring individuals that if we put the call out or we work together, we can find solutions for this. It's important to me to be a place that someone can come and be vulnerable with. I want to be a safe place for people in this community. I don't want them to feel dehumanized for their need. I want them to have their whole human self to be able to walk in here and be met with another whole human self and not feel as though their needs are less than human and less than they deserve. And I know nobody wants to make anyone feel that way. So when people come to me with these needs or observed needs of other people, I'm not going to be quiet about it. I am going to turn around and use my voice in the community resource that I have, whether it's my community here or my board community. I want them to know that there are needs that are being brought to our attention. Whether we can solve these needs or not is not what I'm coming for. I'm just saying, hey, we have some humans that really could use us to see them as whole humans, and that their needs are valid and that they're valued and that we can take care of them, because I have a shit ton of privilege and I have a shit ton of resources that I can share. I don't have to hoard it all. And I can open up to my community in a lot of ways. And this community opens up a lot. So when I wrote this, this was after a lot of people had come in for different things. You know, I got to travel to Espanola. I've got to go do laundry. I'm going to be there for 4 hours. I'm not going to make it to this, this, and this. I'm not making a healthcare appointment. I'm not making these other things. If we can eliminate a 30-minute drive to someone to have a resource in this community, why not? Why not have the conversation about it? So all of these things, just like those bylaws committees and those personnel committees, these are the beginnings of a conversation. These are the beginnings of beginning to address a need in our community, whether it's my need, my neighbor's need, but I want people to feel safe enough to come into this space and express a need. Whether we can actually reach it or not, I don't know. But I sure would love to try and create a relationship with Rio Arriba County to be able to use that community center. I would love to be able to create that resource, that connection, right? Like there is plenty of resources here that are underutilized. And if someone walked through my door and I hadn't thought about it, by asking for a place to cook, first place I thought of, they've got a commercial kitchen. Let's work on some resources. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's here, right? Yeah. But yes, we have the resources here and you can see that, great. But we also have other resources in this community. That's the beautiful thing about being a safe place for people to come to and express their needs without judgment, without fear of dehumanization, with just us seeing them as their whole person and being able to respond to them as a whole caring human, to be like, I may not be able to help you, but I'm going to give you a hug and I love you and I want you to have a shower. I want you to have that clean shower feeling of like, damn, that was good, like, I think everybody deserves that. And I think that's where I would like to make sure that these community conversations can continue. And there's been a lot of conversations about a cultural heritage center. So I don't want people to fear like these are the changes that are going to be made, because one of the main reasons that we brought diversity, equity, and inclusion onto this board was because the community wasn't involved. We felt like there wasn't a whole lot of community conversations going on around anything that was going on in the library as it was. So of course, we're not going to shift something without talking to our whole community, right? That's what we want. We want to engage on every level. This board, if you remember when we voted them in, these lucky guys said that they were ready to go knock on people's doors, right? We're ready to do that level of engagement. That level of engagement is what's needed in these conversations, right? We need everybody to have this conversation with us. And so it is imperative that, yes, you continue to show up, but also know that you will be well informed before there is any decision to be made. And you will have had ample opportunity to talk about it in hopefully a lot of committees and in hopefully a lot of different areas, right? Like no decision will be made tomorrow and you're not going to come and see the doors closed and cots in here and suddenly people in here. Like we're not going to do that. Like I know it sounds frightening, but it's not, we're not moving in that direction. We're just trying to move in the direction of having community conversations about our community's needs and being real about that. Like some people in our community are just not privileged. They suffer a little. Let's just be kind and try and help each other out. That's the end of that report. Anybody have any questions?
Can I say something?
Sure.
Thank you, Rosa. Thank you very much for, I think we should all be privileged. I want us all to be privileged. That to be a human right. I did want to mention something about the senior center. Before the pandemic, I used to go to that center and there were like 30 people there and they have this beautiful kitchen. They had a cook, they cooked warm meals. It was an information center for seniors. And I actually took care of my mother until she died at 105. But this was in Albuquerque and I did we both belonged to the senior center. You could belong at 50 and one for $12 a year. And when you belong to one, you belong to all of the ones in Albuquerque. And they had very wonderful, sophisticated art programs. They had all kinds of hiking and trips, everything. And my mother loved it and I loved it. It was very family friendly. And so when I went to that center that we had, it was very nice and lively. This is just before the pandemic, very, very nice. And then during the pandemic, I didn't go. And then I was there about 2 weeks ago. And there were only like 2 or 3 people there. The director was not there. And I asked them, well, what's happening? And I said, what happened to all the people? And I said, what about the meals? And they said, well, the cook died of COVID. And a lot of the seniors died of COVID. And then we talked about the van. Apparently someone stole the catalytic converter. And then after they stole the catalytic converter, they siphoned the gas. They lost their van, which meant that they couldn't bring people in. And then, and that they were delivering meals out of Espanola. And the only thing they had going there, and I'm not against bingo, but that seemed to be it. And my vision for that center, because, I do feel that our viejitos, all of our viejitos are so vital, amazing, and wonderful, and have so much wisdom and so much to share and have so much, if we leave them out, I want to be inclusive. Okay. So we can't leave, we can't let that be gone. It's a brand new building. I actually went to the legislature. And so I told them about this. And so they're looking into this. I sent a letter to Susan Herrera about this. And so there's a way, and I talked to Jerry Ortiz-Pino about it. You know, maybe, and you know, maybe there's ways we can levantar that. We should never have a new building that's not being used.
Right.
And I think Rosa has very wonderful points. And I must say, our board, I'm so excited about this board. This gentleman here was already honored at the legislature. Was it yesterday?
Today.
Today, yeah, with awards and everything. Yeah, and Rosa and everybody here has done a lot of hard work. And so, and we have, look, everybody's here and a lot of people are here. So I think we got a good chispa going here, you know?
I wanted to add to that, whenever you shared with me, Rosalia, about a community member not having a shower and kids, I was like, oh, you're talking about me because I, you know,
Wasn't, there's another one that's mine.
And then I said, oh, well, it must be talking about my mom and my brother. And we all have this schedule, Mondays and Wednesdays, we go to Jessica's good friend's house to shower. Thursdays, Tuesdays and Thursdays, we go to Jen Silverman's house to shower. That to say is we have real families that aren't thieves, junkies, that are active, healthy community members who don't have these amenities, who drive once a week to Espanola to spend 4 hours at the laundromat to wash our clothes. And then we have several, I mean, I can name more than 10 households where there's multiple families living in the household because homelessness is real in this community, landlessness is real in this community. And then, we were having conversations like over 100 empty houses in this town. And it's like, there's this whole offset. It's like the whole 90% of our farmland is fallow and most of our water flows by us. We're facing, like, from all corners, these realities that, you know, I think that your role can help guide our community in addressing it from a unified perspective where we all stand together to address these issues as a community united and not fight over fears of the creation of a homeless shelter. I think if at the end of the day we needed a homeless shelter, we probably would all figure out how to make that happen, right? It's not going to be our library. But that's to say, thanks for bringing that up and for raising these issues, and I appreciate that, and also thank you for acknowledging my.
Oh, it was several. Why don't you tell us what happened?
On the your side.
I got an award today. I was awarded from the New Mexico Food and Agriculture Policy Council. They gave me an award called the Living Land Award for outstanding leadership in land stewardship. Thanks for hearing that. That's like.
Rosalia, can you
Uh,
pass the
Yeah.
tables?
Yeah.
I would like to share.
Yeah. I just wanted to say one last thing, okay? And that is, you might think about this, the Catholic Church has a fund that all the Catholics donate to. They have this fund in case people don't have enough money for their to buy wood, or if they don't have enough money for propane, or they don't have enough money for electricity. I would like to see something like that, to have a special fund for that kind of thing. Of course, being a farmer, I always think a little broader than that. I'd love to see a fund so that we could all pay our land tax from it, you know? But there's just certain things that I think that would, and it works. I mean, you know, no one's going to go cold at that Catholic church in the winter. They do.
Next, ask one more question about that.
what you brought up, Rosalia?
Yeah.
Can I just plant the seed for a community greenhouse bathhouse? Because there's a lot of sun right there.
So the comment I wanted to make after reading, the EP report and, understanding that there's some different concerns that were expressed and interpretations of what was being said, it made me curious to look at this history. The library compiles about, patrons and how the library was used. Starting from 2019. And so what the board has right now is something I just created yesterday because I took tables of information and put it into charts. And so I just wanted to point out the monthly patron visits. So I know you can't see the specific numbers, but on this particular bar graph, it starts at 2019 and it goes to 2023. And this is the trend of what's going on with the patron visits. They're going up with, recovery from COVID. However, if you look at the next one right below that, that's average number of book checkouts per year for 2021 to 2023. And that's going down. Yeah. And I'm someone who loves books and I want everyone to love books. But like Charlotte said much earlier, like it's changing. It's bad, but like I've read, people feared when the telegraph came out and went in telephone, like what does this mean about our future generations? And what does internet mean? What does smartphones and it does? And so like it's kind of a bummer, but it's also the reality of how this building is being utilized, like the amount of space going to books. When the average number of checkouts per day is 9. So just to continue with the bar graph, the next one is average number of reference questions in a month. It starts at 2019 and goes to 2023. So we have reference questions going up each month. However, computer use kind of went down and hasn't gone back up. Right. And same with Wi-Fi. So not this top one, but the bottom one, this is Wi-Fi use. So it went up with COVID, maybe because people were trying to do school or work. But that's gone down. The top one is monthly essential services. And then Rosalie, could you explain what the definition is of essential services and reference questions?
Essential services, and now let's be clear about 2019, they didn't separate out essential services, right? Like we had to declare us an essential business. And so part of us saying that we were an essential business was for faxing of timesheets, payroll, and any other like correspondence that you would need to set in to like food stamps, or if you needed to send something to your lawyer, or that was business that was pretty essential to us being able to continue. And so in 2019, if you came in here and you did any of those things, if you checked out a book, not if you checked out, if you asked us a question, or if you made copies and faxes and stuff like that, we marked you down as an essential service. We pulled that faxes and copies out of there, right? So with the exception of timesheets on faxes, that still stays under our essential services. So when we separate that out, we look at like essentially when we're doing timesheets, and so that is now what we consider our essential services. Like when we are here to help you conduct your personal affairs. What was the other one, Rebecca? Reference questions. So reference questions can be anything from, hey, can you help me find out where I get this, to what book is this? I was on your shelf 3 weeks ago. I read it. This is like the first few lines of it, and being like, really? Thank you. I appreciate this challenge. All the way to reference questions of, do you have anything by Said in here? So anything that someone comes in and asks us for, those are our reference questions. What are we referencing? Where are we sending them off to? That's increasing because we are getting an increased number of people who are coming in trying to learn digital services. everything, whether we want it to or not, Taya explaining it too. It's all going to online digital, and as much as we want to throw our nails in and say, nah, we can keep some things, yes, but there's a majority of things that are just moving to digital and we can't get around it. Filling out 1099s if you're a business owner, you know, it's pretty much, you're set. You're going into your IRS portal and you're filling them out there. And that is scary for someone who's never done this before. Setting up a New Mexico state tax portal for a business owner, also a scary, scary endeavor. Going in and filing your quarterly taxes or monthly taxes, scary endeavors that need assistance. Applying for housing assistance, it's all digital, it's all online, and we spend a lot of our time sitting right next to someone and helping them go through these things. It's the nature of business, you know. I had someone come in and like, how do I e-sign this? And it was like, oh, you just needed to click. And that was accept your signature. And they're like, but how do I sign? You know, and it was really hard to explain that you don't use the mouse to sign, but how am I going to do that over the phone? Right. Like sometimes they need to come in. And so that is where reference questions come in. That's
Thank you for explaining that. And the bar graphs, I will email them or put them in the drive. And then for the board, and if anyone from the community would like, you can email the directors and they can send you, or they can print it out, or you can even take one home. But I just thought it was important to kind of look at the reality of what the library is providing daily and what's happening here. And I just want to express, like, I'm completely comfortable with talking about what services we're actually providing and what we're, I don't know, the reality of books that we can just entertain a discussion about what else, what other needs, and what needs is the library are feeling that we're, like, the board maybe is not even aware of, you know, like, the things you've listed, like timesheets and, you know, help with taxes, stuff like that. Like, it's providing so much more than just a place to check out books. And I don't see it as a zero-sum game where, like, just to talk about one thing means that we're getting rid of something else. So that's it.
Okay, now I have to be a real stickler because we're 15 minutes away from a 2-hour gap. Less than half of this. Okay, I've got a lot of discussion, but we have to do some really important things. We need to vote Maggie on, we have to go to the session. How many powers and committee and responsibility quickly? Bylaws?
I think, Bill, do you want me to do bylaws?
Jennifer left. I'm so sorry.
Talk about it. Yeah.
Oh no,
I'm
she's here.
Okay, go
Still here. Yeah, so anyway, we are the bylaws committee, and we, after several meetings, emails, Zooms, community output, reach, we came up with a draft for you. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm super sick. And anyway, I have a draft for you to submit to the board for review. And it'll be in a Microsoft Word document that'll be uneditable. And then I will submit a Google Doc for you to put your comments and questions, i.e. concerns, in based on the article and the section. It's pretty specific. You can't go wrong with it. But this way we don't lose the integrity of the first draft in case we have to draft again and draft again. We thought this would be the best mode of communication. So do I have access to upload directly to the Embuda Valley Drive?
Yes.
Okay. I might need assistance with that because I know it unless I just share it to all of you. Anyway, you'll want to look at specifics like the mission statement we added, Article 2, talking specifically about the objectives and the purposes of the bylaws. We gave a more in-depth description of it. This is just an overview for you. And Article 5 real in-depth about the number, election and terms and membership of the board of directors. You really want to take a look at that. Article 7, the officers in section 2. But overall, it took us a long time to go through it. Like I said, with several meetings and emails and Zoom calls and back and forth, questions and research and not knowing the answers, because this is my first time. Cedar is quite well versed in this area. I am not, so I apologize for that, Cedar. But thank you for the learning process. So we'll upload that so that you guys can take a look at it as a collective and then give us the input. And then if we need to, I was thinking for the next board meeting, we could put it on the agenda at that point, give you that full month's time to look at it and give you that time to query if you'd like, unless you oppose that.
Right now, the flow chart for the committees to consider this, the next one it would go to the personnel committee.
Okay,
And it's fine if it gets uploaded onto the folder, but the personnel committee would, which is Cedar, Tony and I will discuss.
okay, so is that who I email it to?
I would say upload it onto the drive.
And if you need help uploading onto the drive, Jen, you can just share it to me and I'll upload it later, and then the two of us can sit down and I'll show you how to do it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you, Jennifer, get well.
Feel
You know,
better.
I just want to say that, I like the idea that it's gonna be up there and everybody will have a chance to read through it several times and think about it. It's kind of a complex thing when you think about, how to structure voting, for example. So giving it a lot of thought and sharing it with other people and getting ideas about it. We've definitely done a lot of research. I've been involved in bylaws, development before. So I know that it takes everybody, it takes a village. And yeah, so it's good that we'll have time while it's up there and as it makes its way through the committees. Everybody be sure and early on, read what they say about voting, vote early, vote often. Read it early and read it often. So when we have a board discussion about it, we're all kind of up.
Sure, so personnel committee, which is, we have not opened up to the community because of personnel, has discussed some about shared leadership, some about this different concerns, and wrapping up other personnel stuff from the past. Our plan is to work on the job description for the two directors, job responsibilities, and how shared leadership is going to be specific in that, because there's important things to make that be a succession. I'll just stop there.
Well, and then about evaluation.
Oh, yes, but the thing that needs to come first is job description, because there's no accountability if you've never said what people are responsible
So
for.
Taya, we're powering through because we've got.
I
10
understand.
minutes.
I just would like to point out that as the longest employee in the admin section, not a single board has reached out to me for policy discussions, bylaws discussions, HR discussions, and any of that stuff. And if we are doing a lateral administrative leadership, that includes me.
Okay. Thank you, Taya.
Okay, I can pop in real quick with the policy.
Policy?
Yeah, Annette and I met, we have a large policy manual. It's gonna take us some time to get through it. We broke it into like 2 subcategories. There's organization policy, which has 16 documents that we need to review in that part. Then we have the operational policy and procedures that have 5 documents that need review for that part. So in terms, it's 21 documents for us to review, so it's gonna take us some time to go through that. We're gonna start with what seems the easiest, which is operational policy, the one that has 5 documents in that. That pretty much entails policies like public access to computer use and problem patron policy, things of that nature. Then we're gonna go to the organizational, has had like the sexual harassment policy, the ADA policy, and more in-depth policies like that. Will probably be more towards March, April, May, sometime in that time frame. We are gonna plan to meet in the next 2 weeks to start working on that first document. Unlike other people, we are not set on a time and date. We will let everyone know as soon as possible, but we have kids in life and we're moving, so not gonna be consistent, but we will be consistent in the documents.
And can we send, I don't know, like suggestions for policies that we
Want to.
would suggest as a priority?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then financial?
That'll be me, Jose Luis and Thea, and we have not gotten together as a unit to actually talk. We piecemealed it, one bits here and there, but we have yet to organize.
What's the status of doing the financial audit?
Still reaching out to auditors, so January is really busy time for most CPAs, financial places, like just haven't had a call back, yeah, so I do think that, yeah. I think April is probably gonna be realistic, I really do, I wish that I could say, like, I'd love to get someone in here tomorrow to do an audit, and I know that this was a request from our community at our annual board meeting. I know it, I get it, I'm working on it, but I can't make audits happen. But we're working on it, so I'm hoping soon, and I hope to have a different update.
Can I also comment on an audit? Super fast, I promise.
Okay.
Audits aren't going to give the board or the community what Rebecca was worried about at the last meeting that we discussed and approved an audit, where she was worried that funds were being spent inappropriately or being earmarked for certain grants inappropriately. At least that's what I think the consensus of the issue was at the time. And so
we're gonna get an audit, that the community's.
That's fine.
It's like,
That's fine,
at this point,
but I
it's
think
just happening.
what they do is they say, show us these 5 receipts, and you go and you say, here's these 5 receipts, and they pick them out randomly.
So I just want, yeah, for the record, yeah, I want to clarify that it was community, also really brought up an audit, so
it's of our size and our size. I'm okay with it.
On that note too, it would really help me as the grant writer. I can't apply to at least 70% of the grants because we don't have an audit. Like that is something that is really hindering when I show up and I go to a grant and it's like current financial audit, and I'm like, well, I'm not doing that one.
Fiscally healthy and fiscally responsible organization gets an audit every single year.
Yeah, I agree. It's important to get and to do.
So we have to get through things. I have 2 children I have to pick up, and I've got 5 minutes to go, and it's like, yeah. So did I?
Book is White Fragility, 3rd Friday of every month. That's the book that we're reading. All of that is to inform our group when we get the bylaws, when we get personnel, when we get policies from them, that we think about it with an equitable solution, with diversity in mind, writing that into these policies, writing diversity, writing equity, writing inclusion, and all of those things that it means, making sure that we're in good relationship with our planet, long-term thinking, 7-year generational.
And there's digital copies on the library app, or if there's not, there can be?
There is.
Okay.
It's a great one if you know how to read while you're sleeping.
So, and then I want to move on to the next item, which is getting a new board member, Maggie. You've already given us a presentation. I think we can just move it to a vote if somebody will.
To accept Maggie as a new board member of the current board.
Okay. And then we hear a raise of hands for yeas, yay.
I wasn't a part of the presentation.
Oh. Okay, we have. Yay. Any nays? Nays? That passes. Thank you, Maggie.
Pick your committee, Maggie.
Try to get at least 3.
I know. We're done.
You want to say that? Yeah, okay.
I'm gonna make a motion that we table number 7 and 8, so.
Okay.
And we can end the meeting and.
We could even, and this is why we're trying to do things tight and keep brevity in it. I know the conversations have been really important for people, and just know that we're always available for them. If you don't have my contact information and you want to get a hold of me,
It's on the website, but please call us. I will share.
also you can just Google my name and my phone number just comes out. The rest of you can give my phone number to whoever wants it. It's public knowledge. It's like, I've had businesses and stuff, so it's out there.
Get people phone numbers, cell phone numbers on the board.
You have mine.
I have yours.
And with all of that, I think we're gonna just bring it to a conclusion, and thank everybody for showing up. That's been wonderful. Motion to adjourn.
I have one thing that I want to say.
Yes.
Before we leave, it's informal. For the board meetings, I tend to really try to get public comment and public comment because I think that's part of the reason why. Yeah. We're very extensive.
It becomes hard because.
Yeah, we don't want to be rude, but we also, need to be kind to everybody and respect. No, it's not, you, it's, I mean, we only do have.